Welcome back to the Let's Talk Vibes podcast, where we speak soul contracts, illuminating the path to higher understanding. We're your hosts, Lauren and Yiannah, and this week we are joined by a very special guest, Nicole Frolick. Nicole is a practical mystic experienced in intuitive life coaching, inner child healing, and the reclamation of one's secret self that uncovers the hidden and yet most valuable strengths, talents, and untapped purpose of the soul. With over 25 years of experience in the realm of healing the mind, body, and soul connections, Nicole acts as a surrogate siren that co-captains your soul through a deep psychic descent into the uncharted waters of the unconscious mind. Using ceremonial and intuitive methods through unique meditative experiences, she guides her clients through the shadows of their pain so they may rebirth themselves and emerge as their most authentic self on the greatest path to their destiny. She is the host of Enlighten Up, a weekly podcast, founder of The Forbidden Journey, a premium coaching program, has produced over 40 guided meditations, and offers a variety of online courses through her Alchemy Academy, designed to help you deepen your intuitive abilities, heal your inner child, harmonize your masculine and feminine energies, and advance your growth from linear development into quantum leaps that are logarithmic in nature. Welcome, Nicole.
Hi, ladies. How are you?
How does it feel to hear all that? Because all I heard was like accomplishment after accomplishment after accomplishment.
Well, when you've been on the healing journey for almost 30 years, you start to rack up a few things here or there, but it's weird for me to even hear it read back.
Totally. You know what? Listen, as somebody who has experienced your work and your meditations, which by the way are absolutely amazing,
Thank you.
it's like for a million years, I couldn't. You don't just create a meditation, you literally every word, every thought, everything about it is just so special and individualized for that exact moment, that exact thing. And I feel like that's such a gift because I know I could never do that. Never say never, but I could never do that. The way it comes together is just magical.
I love creating experiences for people. And so the meditation is kind of a little creative outlet for me that allows me to kind of explore and take people on a journey that is very much experiential. Like I love to activate all the senses. So it's fun.
I can't help but like looking at your chart and even just thinking of like, okay, what numbers through your chart come through for this? So before we jump into your chart though, just a little background for people. Yiannah has given you a reading in the past, so you have some familiarity of your numbers.
It wasn't me. It was
Oh,
Galiana who gave her. So, okay, full circle moment.
yeah.
It was Galiana who was on Nicole's podcast where I first found out and heard about soul contracts. So
Oh,
this
I totally
is,
misunderstood that
yes,
story.
no. So this is like a beautiful synchronicities to get to this moment. My girlfriend had to tell me, oh, there's this girl, Nicole Frolick, I follow, and she's got this podcast and she's got this YouTube channel. That's the first thing that led me to it. So I subscribed, of course, and I just started following you. And I remember one day, it was like in the evening, and I was like doing a puzzle or something. It was by myself. And I'm like, oh, let me just put on something to listen to in the background. And I put on one of your videos, and then, the next one plays, and it was on soul contracts. And I remember stopping what I was doing. And I was like, oh, I really need to look at the screen. I couldn't just listen to it. I wanted to see what was happening. And so that was the moment where I was like, oh, I need to know everything about this and how that brought us all the way to here. And then also, I have done Nicole's Forbidden Journey retreat. And we've had a few sessions together, Nicole, private one-on-one sessions. So it's a lot, but it is such a full circle moment to be here right now with you talking about this. That answers your
Yeah.
question, Lauren. So she's
Yeah.
had a reading, but it was not for me.
Yeah. But I'd
Okay.
be curious to even just to hear it from like your perspective when
Yeah.
you look at it, because everyone kind of sees different things,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So
Totally. Well, I'm curious then, when was it, Nicole, then that you first would have had your chart read by Galiana? And what do you remember from that reading? What stands out to you all this time later?
I think it must have been 2 years ago,
Mhm.
maybe 3 years max.
Yeah.
And the one thing that stands out is that I have a lot of dragon energy and I intimidate the crap out of most men.
Yep, I see that too.
Those are your nines. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are my nines. I got lots of nines. And I also remember something about the heart and how I had a lot of heart healing I needed to do in this lifetime.
Absolutely. You have those sevens as well, that heart wound. Now, when I looked over at your chart, I was kind of looking to see now with your meditations, do you feel like those are channeled?
Yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a combination. There are times
Yeah.
where I feel like it's just coming through. Like there are some meditations that have been pure channeled. Like one of my favorite meditations that I have is locked up in my inner child course. Like that one to get access to, you need to take the course, but it is one of my absolute favorite ones. I think I was crying while I actually was typing it out on my computer to get the guided part out. And that one was for sure channeled. Some of them are like that are in different ones, like my womb of activation course. There's some in there that are absolutely channeled. What I'll do is I'll go into meditation and I'll hit record on my phone and I will just start speaking stuff and it'll come out and I'll turn it into a meditation. Um, it's just a combination, and sometimes it's just, little old human me making up a meditation.
Yeah, because my feeling when I first heard you talking about it and just hearing Yana say how powerful they are, I just kind of felt like, oh, this is probably really channeled work. And you have a lot of channeling energy in your chart. You do have these nines, which are excellent at channeling. The fives are as well. Even this 22-4 that's in your common use name. So not in your birth chart, but in the common use name. And that's about direct connection into source, and so there's something really to that. Now, the other number that I thought, because when you said creativity, right? Like you're like, this is my creative thing. Then I started to think, okay, well, sixes. And sure enough, you have sixes as your spiritual talent. So I do feel like you say, you're like, well, it's kind of a bit of both. I think that really is demonstrated by your chart as well, that it's like, absolutely, that channeling energy is there, right? You're just like bringing that through, but also that creativity channel, and that this is the way that you can be creative. I love that.
Yeah. And I like adding a little bit of my human imprint into all of this. I mean, I feel like my human self is just as important as all the other aspects of myself because I'm the one living it all down here. So,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when you mentioned, I was actually glad you mentioned your inner child course, because the sevens where you say, well, I remember this heart healing, that heart wound, the sevens about that inner child. And like that inner child really needs to be healed and wants to be heard. And then part of your bio is talking about authenticity, which is part of that seven frequency, healing your heart and then stepping into that authenticity. This is who I am. And let's be honest, in this spiritual realm, it can be scary putting yourself out there because people can judge you all day long. Because there are skeptics, there are people who are like, you don't know what you're talking about. Who do you think you are to share this stuff? That kind of thing. And so you really need to step into that authenticity and be like, this is who I am. I don't care if you like it or not. I love me and I need to share it. And so it's just that inner child course is that beautiful healing of your seven frequency, which then is very magnetic, right? I mean, you have a YouTube channel, you have your podcast, you do all your things, and you magnetize people to you. You magnetize me. So it's all very much embodying that seven frequency, which I just love.
yeah,
It's awesome. Yeah.
the healing journey is just, that's it's like it's weird because we're all here to heal, but I
Mhm.
feel like mine in particular was so that I could help others heal.
Mhm. Absolutely. And just before we get too far into it, Nicole, I'm guessing you probably only ever had your birth chart read. Did you ever have looking at your common use name as well? Will this be all new numbers that you're getting introduced to?
No, I've had just my common use name done as well.
Okay, so you have heard of both of them. Okay, just for my reference, that's good to know because there are some numbers in there that really, I mean, you have a lot of teacher energy throughout both of these charts because the fives are a great teacher energy. You have these 11 twos that are showing you that you're here to build something. But part of what really stands out to me in your common use name in the physical talents, you have the 17-8, which is grounded expression into society, right? Speaking in a very grounded and relatable way. And then you also have as spiritual goals in your common use name, which I have the same number in my birth chart, is the 16-7. And this is the translator. It's about taking the high level knowledge and information and explaining it in plain English and in a really, again, accessible way. And so when I see those numbers together, right, it is in my mind always this person, these are kind of podcasting numbers in my mind, right? You're here to help reach people, explain it in a way that a lot of people are going to be able to understand and it's going to make sense to them. And so I'm curious for a lot of the people that you work with in your different programs that you have, or just even maybe whether you feel like that's the audience of your YouTube channel, do you feel like it is people who are maybe at the beginning of their journey, like they're just coming to healing for the first time? Or do you feel like it's that whole spectrum of people who have been doing this for decades and the people just starting? Or I'm just curious, any trends?
Oh, it's all across the board.
Yeah.
All across the board. And I definitely have people who've gone extremely deep into their healing working with me. Well, and this is the way I see it too, is if I don't keep leveling myself up, I'm not going to be able to keep helping others like level up, and they're going to
Yeah.
go, well, they're going to go find someone else. And it's not that like they can't go find someone else. It's just
Right.
I don't want to stay stagnant, like I don't want to like be the person who's not doing what I'm saying, like I got to walk the walk as well. Like that's extremely important to me. Having that integrity is extremely important to me in my work, and I always want my work to come from me. I don't want it to come from someone else telling me. And so I have to always be doing that. And so I tend to attract a lot of people who are willing to walk the walk as well.
Now, what's interesting about that is, first of all, you never want to work with a teacher who thinks they know it all,
Yeah.
right? Or who is
Hmm.
not willing to also show up and say, look, I have my bad days too. I have my moments. I take my hits just like everybody else. And I think that's that authenticity part of you that shows up, where I've seen videos where you're like, this is what's happened to me. And you've been emotional and you've shared. And it's like, that is so important because, see, in your soul contract, you have your threes, you have your fives. Even that 17-8, that public speaker energy, it's like you need to share verbally. You're like, it's almost like if I don't get this out, I may like explode. I need to share from the depths of my soul the thing that I'm feeling, the thing that I'm going through. And that is what draws people to you, because it's so relatable that they're like, I get it. I feel the same thing too. And then that's what bonds you. So that is a gift, that is a talent that people have, because a lot of people cannot share what's really going on internally, and whether it's good or bad, they're just quiet. They will never like share it. And by sharing is how you teach. You have to get that out there. You have to become relatable so people can understand. And with that 16-7 energy, where you're able to share things where a 5-year-old can understand it, it's the thing that draws people, and they're like, yes, I need to work with you. Yes, I love listening to what you have to say. It makes sense to me because I get it. It's simple terms. You have people like Deepak Chopra, which love him. I've got his books. But some of the way he speaks, sometimes I'm like, I have to re-listen to you like 5 times to really understand what it is you're trying to say, because he's just he's so up here that I don't really understand everything he's saying. And so you have these 2 11 twos in your chart. That's my 11 2 that's also not understanding. It's like sometimes you have to reread something many times for it to sink in, because it's like that structure is missing. And you have to either create your own structure, be very structured in your life. Otherwise, things could kind of fall apart. Does that show up for you at all?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You're
Oh,
very
yeah.
structured.
Well, yes and no. I mean, there's some things that I'm very structured at, and there's other things I'm just like, I'm just gonna wing it. We're gonna go with the flow here. But it's important to have both. And I think that it's funny because like when I first started out, like I really just wanted to work more with like the really spiritual people and the people who would get me and all of that. And that was perfect for where I was starting. I kind of needed that to have the courage to do what I was doing.
Right.
But now I'm kind of like, I want to work with all the muggles. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of want to, like really like sink my teeth into what they're doing and like really get into more of the 3D stuff. And like I'm really fascinated with it. And how do I take my messaging and make it relatable to that and do something that's not so like way out here, which is where I thrived in the beginning. I loved that, and I still do love that, but I'm finding that as a teacher, that as you grow and evolve, you realize that okay, there's a lot of you just know that there's more work to be done, more like at that level that is it's important because there's different I don't want to say tiers, but when I say tiers, I'm talking more like categories in a sense of I like to branch myself out of more of the spiritual category now and get more into the stuff that actually takes me a little bit out of my comfort zone. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be a little challenging for me because, okay, how do I help you? And how do I change my wording to like make sure that the message is landing with you? Because it doesn't matter what I say. I just got to make sure that you understand it. And so I don't know. For me, I think it's a little bit more of helping me grow as well because I could stay in my comfort zone and talk spiritual all day long, but at the end of the day, it's not challenging me in the same way anymore.
And
So
that
is
is
that
just so the 16-7, like so
100%?
100% to the T. And it's so interesting. So, Yana, we're going to circle back to what you were going to say,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
just have to comment that, like, the fact that is your spiritual goal, I think it's interesting that you're kind of hitting this point where you're like, oh, I'm ready to explore that now, right? Whereas the 7-7 is in your birth name, the spiritual karma. And what we kind of talk about from business side of it is like a 7-7 are the more spiritual people, right? And just in the sense of whether it's actually spiritual or not, just the people who are further along on the path, you can use that vocabulary and they're going to understand. The 16-7 are the people you need to translate it for. And so I think it's interesting that it's kind of like, you worked with that other group first, and then it took you a little bit of time to maybe really get clear on your own messaging, being like, I had to understand this inside out before I could start to explain it to other people in other ways. And so it took that time for you to get there. And so I just kind of love that it's sort of like you're getting to that place now. You're starting to reach that goal and really play with that energy that's in that goal position. So I love that. Go for
Okay.
it.
Well, how I was going to bring that in because the part of that 5 energy is this unique pioneering energy, right?
Mhm.
And so you have your YouTube channel, you've created all this content, and then you branched into doing retreats. Now, yes, retreats is not a new concept, but you do it your own unique kind of a way. And I know
Yeah.
you like to add a lot of stuff in there too. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's funny. So I do a little bit of astrology, and when I look at my fifth house, which is the house of creativity, entrepreneurship, all that is like being on stage, being in the spotlight, really being seen. I've got Uranus there, right? And so I love to like shake
Mm.
it up. I like to be different. I don't want to be like everybody else. And so when it comes to those kinds of things, I've always wanted to do things my way. And not because I just want to be different, but because that's how I've learned. Like I've learned through my way. So that's where I excel, that's where I'm strongest, and I know that it works. So um I've taken, like, when it comes to my retreats, it's kind of like an amalgamation and like kind of stirring this like potion pot, a brew of all of the highlights of my healing journey that have just been game changers for me, like have really taken me to the next level, and what really kind of cracks someone open, what really gets them that in often cases, especially when we talk about the retreat, like literal healing miracles have happened at the retreat. Like literally complete hearing restored in one person's ear from not being able to hear almost anything out of it. Like you had to stand on the other side of the person to talk to them in order for them to hear you. And then like the next day, like their hearing's like restored. A vision, like drastically improved. I had someone whose skin started to heal for the first time after decades of incessant scratching and itching compelled from all their trauma as a child, finally having that heal for the first time after they tried endless modalities. Like kundalini awakenings happen. Like it's incredible to see what's possible when you know how to prep someone for that deep transformation. And part of that is, knowing where to look in the darkness, right? Like where to go into the shadow side. But it's like it's okay, sure, it's a little scary, but it's not that bad. It's not like you have to sit there and like cry with like snot running down your nose and like eyes puffed out to hear and like grieving every single part of you before like you get your breakthrough. It's not it doesn't have to be that way. It's about knowing like what are the key elements that if you target those, that's what's going to finally like bring it all together. And I just, through my own journey, have grown literally a sixth sense for finding what that is like really quickly. So it's like the retreats are incredible. It What I love about them is that I kind of take a little bit of the practical and a lot of the magic and we throw it all together, and yeah, miracles happen.
Now, what you said in the beginning of that was that it's kind of like you had to go through your own healing, your own stuff, and then you incorporate that into what's worked for you. You're going to incorporate that into this forbidden journey, this retreat. And so part of that 4 energy, that 22-4, that 4 has this ability to take something, learn something, and duplicate it. And they want to share it with everybody. And that comes in with your abundance, right? That is like having that faith and that trust that, for example, I would imagine that the first time you did that retreat, just like the first time you posted a video and your first meditation and all that, the nerves were probably like sky high. And you really had to sit there and sit in your faith and go, you know what? I have faith that it's going to work out. I trust it's going to work out. And I'm just going to do it. And you put it out there. And that is such a huge thing for that 4 aspect of your 22-4. But then being able to take something, here's my experience, here's what helped me, and share that with other people is you stepping into that energy. And then people receiving that and having these breakthroughs is the magic of it all. So it's just so beautiful how it plays out.
Yeah,
And, oh, go ahead.
no, I was going to say it's funny because you mentioned before how like, oh, you must have a lot of structure. I can't remember which numbers it was,
The
but
11 too.
the 11 too.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I over plan for the first retreat, obviously, because I'm like, oh my God, it has to be perfect. And I want everyone to get the most amazing experience. And at the same time, as I like over planned everything, I also left room for it all to go out the window if I needed it to, like I didn't need to stick to that strict schedule of what I wanted to do, but I was like, but if I need it, it's there. But if I feel like something else is coming through. And what's crazy is that I remember we all went for this hike before everyone had their mushroom journey. And when we got back to the home, all of a sudden I felt so woozy. I almost fell over. I had to like brace myself against the wall and sit down on this little bench. And I'm like, oh my God, something's happening to me. And I felt my entire like up here open up, and I felt all of this energy just pouring through me. And it was pouring through so quickly and so profoundly that I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what this is. And I realized that I was getting prepared to hold space for everyone to go on their journey, which was going to be the big highlight of the retreat, where everyone was going to have this most transformational experience. And through that, I ended up channeling a lot of energy through a lot of different light language, and things just started coming through me that I had not planned at all. But it was like one of those things where I didn't even realize that I was going to need all that energy to hold that kind of space for people to go through that kind of healing on their own. So it's like just being willing to have, well, yeah, it's important to plan and have structure, but it's also important to know that you're ready to throw it all out the window at a moment's notice, and just go with it.
Yeah. And I mean, that aspect that you're talking about to me is the 22 of that 22-4. But what I was really seeing and was really jumping out at me as you were talking about the retreat, I mean, completely agree with Yana about the 4, but what had jumped out to me was the 9s that you have as your physical karma and your physical talents in your birth name, because they are really powerful healers. The 9 is so powerful of an energy that when you have that in talent, right, it's like you can do anything. And so when you just talked about like that miracle healing, I was like, that's that combo of 9s right at the top of your chart. I just really, really jumped out at me in terms of, again, it's this healing energy, but it's just like powerful. And like, this is where the miracles happen. I feel like a lot of the time, plus with that 22 as well. I mean, again, you have the multiple numbers that bring that aspect in, but wow, that is incredible. So talk to us a little bit more about what does happen on these retreats. So there's a mushroom journey. What else?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to quickly just throw in this. The 9s are great for healing and miracles. They're really not great for dating.
Yeah. Yep.
But no, so what kind of happens at the retreat? Yeah, we do a lot of different ceremonies. So we do a cacao ceremony. So on the first, we like open up the heart, we prepare the heart for like a really deep opening, getting into the feeling space. Surrender is so important before you go into the mushroom journey, which is like the next day. And so the way that people get their most transformative journeys, especially when using like plant medicine like mushrooms, is through surrender. One of my most powerful journeys was with ayahuasca, and it was I literally like went through a wormhole, and I found myself going through this crazy wormhole, all of these like hieroglyphs passing me by with light, and ended up in some altered AI reality where I had literally left the matrix. And in order to like have that experience, before I actually went into that, I ended up surrendering and crying and saying, whatever Mother Ayahuasca you want to do with me, I'm yours. Like, I don't even know where I'm going. I don't know what I need to do, but I'm going to trust you. So if you want me to purge today and you want me to purge all night long, I'm going to purge all night long. If you want me to dance, I'll dance. Like whatever you want me to do, I'm going to follow you. I'm going to trust you. And that kind of surrender is like whenever you go into any kind of plant medicine journey, that is the key element that will get you the breakthrough, the transformation. And so having the cacao ceremony the night before is so important to have that heart opening so that you're starting to let go, that you're starting to open up and you're ready to receive more than you've ever received. And I think that's why like a couple of people have had like literal Kundalini awakenings at the retreat that are life changing. And so I do guided meditation. I have big speakers and a microphone and music. And like, you think listening to my little meditation in your earbuds, like at home is something, but like I bring the meditation into the retreat and it's all like open, big high ceilings and windows and stuff. So like, it's just so immersive. And again, it's that experience. Like I want people to have this most transformational experience. And so we do that, and there's share circles. We talk about our fears. And it's just all about getting you to that place where you're cracking everything open. And but then we also like We also do like normal human stuff. Like, there's like a hot tub there, and I use that actually as part of ceremony. We do a rebirth ceremony in the hot tub. And then when it's all like said and done, yeah, we open a couple bottles of wine, and we all like have fun. I do card readings with everyone. Like, we just kind of wing it. It's basically it's it helps people really get connected to that higher self that they have, really get connected to their own inner compass, their own intuitive guidance, and allowing them to feel more connected than they've ever felt before. And oftentimes, when you have that deeper connection, it's just, I don't know, it's like all the puzzle pieces start to fall into place, and you get that clarity, and you see things like where you never saw them before. And like, I've had people like work, what I'm calling it this year is the 3-day 180, and I'm kind of gearing it more towards relationships, but anything can happen out of it. It's just what I've noticed is, yes, people have these physical healing miracles. Yes, people have had shifts and changes with their career and their jobs or their business. But the one thing that everyone gets a shift in is their relationships, their relationship with self, their relationship with others. And the people don't even need to come to the retreat with them. These people have like literally left, and all of a sudden their relationships are just different when they get home, like just changed. And the people are like treating them differently. People that they were estranged from, calling them out of the blue, like wanting to reconnect, like it's wild to me what can happen. And so, yeah, like if I can channel in those nines for like those miracles to happen, I'm all down for it.
I mean, so much of this I feel like is represented in your chart, right? The cacao is the sevens, that opening of the heart space. Both 7 and 9 are both very catalytic energies. The 9, especially, like when I describe a 9 to someone, especially if we're going to like optimize their name and maybe put in nines, I'm like, it's like Moldavite, right? It's going to change your name. It might kind of be a tower moment, right? I know, Nicole, you do your tarot, so you understand the tower. It might tear your life down to rebuild it, but like you do get to that star that comes after. You get to the hope and the rebuild. And so, like, so much of that for me, I'm just like, it's so what you're meant to do. Like, looking at your chart, I'm just like, oh, yeah, that's exactly what you should be doing. Of course, that's what your retreat is like. It's all right there in your chart.
Well, what's even crazier? So I originally called it the Forbidden Journey, right? The Forbidden
Yeah.
Journey Retreat. And the Forbidden Journey, if you guys were to look it up, it's all nines. It's all freaking nines, 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 nines. Like, it's just, so
Yeah.
no wonder, like, it's cataclytic for everyone. No wonder people are getting these crazy transformations. Like, I can't
Yeah.
escape the nines, that they follow me wherever I go. And I'm just like, how do I throw in some softness in there? I don't want to intimidate everyone.
And,
The 13-4.
yeah,
I know.
that's
The
what you
divine
need, right?
feminine, that gentle. Listen, I'm with you. I feel that. And the thing is that 9 energy, it is very intimidating to people. And you likely probably don't get approached a lot by people or men in that dating sense, where it's like, why are men not like, I'm a beautiful woman, what's happening? But it's that energy you're giving off, it's so strong that people are like, I can't approach her. It's too much. They feel that energetic thing. But listen, do not change that. Stay exactly who you are. That is absolutely beautiful. Now, I want to share in my experience of doing your program, you actually helped me unlock my 6 energy, which you have, it's that creativity, but it creates it's like when you are not creating, when you're not in that space, it creates a very unfocused energy and a very stuck energy. So if you remember during that time, I was like, I felt stuck in my life. It's this procrastination energy, and you just feel like you're spinning your wheels and getting nowhere. And so at some point during that program, there was a specific meditation that I remember you saying to me, Yiannah, I noticed you during meditation, you were like moving.
Mm.
And so right before that, whatever meditation we had the recording for that week, I remember doing it. And I'm not somebody who can sit in meditation for 20, 30, 40 minutes. My body's like, go, like, get out. I can't sit still. And one of them I put on, and whatever was happening, all of a sudden, I just felt my entire body dancing. And I was dancing all over the room. And there was a part of me that was like, what am I doing? And this other part, most of me was like in this meditation, I was fully moving and feeling the words and the music and all that. And what ended up happening was I kept replaying it. And then I added that movement into my life. And it's like there was one meditation where the chains were broken.
Mm.
And it felt to me like when that happened, all of a sudden that stuck energy in my life that I can't create, I can't move forward, I can't. All of a sudden, like in a blink of an eye, was not only gone, but it was very much I can, I am, I'm doing. And it put me into this huge creation mode where since then, when was that? January?
Yeah, that's the generational trauma
Yes.
program.
It's
Mhm.
like it's like from that time, I have not stopped creating. And it's such a beautiful thing because it got me out of that stuck six energy. And now I'm in that beautiful positive aspect of that energy, and then so part of your soul destiny, your purpose is that 11-2, which you use in your work and really help me too, because it's about sharing like truth, universal truth, like speaking your truth. It's almost like you have this ability to you take in all information, you get a little bit from here and a little bit from that person, and then you sort out what doesn't work for you. And you're like, this feels right for me. And then you're able to share that and teach it to other people. It's like this disseminating knowledge kind of frequency. And here you are every week on your YouTube channel and your podcast, and you share what is your truth. You share, you put it out there. And you know what I love about you too? These are your fives. They need to speak the truth. You have had moments where you are like, you know what? This is what I believed then, and that no longer works for me now. And this is, I've experienced it, I've worked it out, and this is how I feel now. And there's a lot of people who won't do that, especially in this space. They feel like they have to like commit. Well, this is what I said, this is what I believe, even if it doesn't feel right to them, where you're just like, yeah, that no longer works for me. That was a different version of me. And here I am now. And here's what I feel is correct in this moment. So I love and I appreciate that about you. And I appreciate you for helping me get unstuck.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that so vividly. That was such a huge breakthrough for you, like, and what the ability to be able to kind of say, yeah, I know a lot of people aren't gonna maybe like that I'm changing my mind here, or that this doesn't work for me and I'm gonna do it this way now, or the my ability to go with it regardless if people are gonna like it or not like it, comes from my inner child healing of the sacral chakra. So like you're in that inner child course, we talk about the sacral chakra. One of the wounds there is, or our needs, I should say, is the need to have variety, to have change, to know that I am allowed to feel everything that I want to feel. And at the same time, I'm allowed to change my mind if I want to change my mind. And, like that is so important. And then that's like one day I can choose that I like chocolate, and the next day I can say like I don't like chocolate. And and it's like, and I don't need to like worry about like someone else being okay with it or not being okay with it. Like it's my right. And that's a major inner child healing that happens in the sacral chakra. And that sacral chakra is one where all your intuition is, because that's the womb. Okay. And so like that's the gut. So man or woman, like that's where your high intuition is. And so you always increase your intuition and ability to tap in more psychically when you have that healing there. But also that's your abundance code. So like when you want to attract more of whatever it is, whether it's more health, more wealth, more love, like whatever it is, like you need to not give a F, about like changing your mind. Like be free, be expansive, allow yourself to change your perspective, your view. That is something that when you've healed your inner child at that level, like that sacral chakra will allow you to be like, you know what? I just don't vibe with that anymore. And I'm okay with it. Like that's so important.
I struggle with that sometimes because my fear is I don't ever want to upset somebody. Those are my eights
Why?
talking. Those are my eight.
Why?
because that's just how I feel. I know it may be irrational sometimes, but it's like I don't want to let somebody out. It's like that people pleaser 8 frequency.
Oh, but you know
I
what?
know, I
If you
know.
don't
Give
have
it
if
to
you
me.
don't have haters, you're not doing it right.
I just feel like I will always be authentic. I will always tell you how I'm feeling and what feels right for me. That's not a thing. But if it involves somebody else and I have to share something that they're not going to like, it could take me a minute to share it. I can't
Sure.
just be like,
Yeah, that's
even
understandable.
even gentle in a gentle way. Like I shrink inside because I'm like, oh my God, I may blow up somebody's life, or I may hurt somebody or make them sad or mad or whatever. And I just can't have that on me. But I do realize that I need to work on that and
Okay.
know that I have to put myself first. I
Can
have
I,
to say, yes, tell me.
can
Tell
I
me.
share something with you?
Yes.
So that this is something that, because I've been doing this inner child healing for so long, and that's one of my things. I used to be a people pleaser.
Yes.
I used to care way too much about what everyone thought, and like, oh, everyone's got to be okay. Even if I'm like walking on eggshells, everyone else has got to be okay,
Right.
you know? And now I'm like, no, screw it. Like I have to be true to myself, because if I'm not true to myself and I don't show who I am, I'm never going to find the right people to show up for me and accept me for who I am, right? So
Yeah.
in my dating experience, this has been like, and this has literally just happened in the last like couple weeks. Okay. Like even just 2 times yesterday, this happened. And there were 2 different guys that I had been talking to. And I had to kind of be really honest with each of them about something. Like one guy I was really interested in. I was, we had some great conversations, but he's in a really tough place in his life. And he's not able to show up for me that would give this the opportunity to actually explore a relationship, which is totally fine. But he still wants to like pop in and like, and I know he wants to, but his life just won't allow him. And so he'd always just send me these messages, and he just kept sending me message after message. And I wasn't responding because I'm like, I know that this is just him wanting to know that I'm there, and I'm not going to just be there for someone who doesn't know how to show up for me fully. And so I literally gave a very blunt, but compassionate 9-9 text to him.
99 and 55.
9-9 and 5-5, of just saying, hey, blah, 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 blah. And he told me, he actually called me yesterday to tell me how much he appreciated. He goes, that hit hard. He goes, but I respected the crap out of you after that. Like, he's like, it just, I needed to hear it. He goes, you're right. He goes, you deserve like so much more. And I just wanted to let you know, like that meant so much to me, and not a lot of people have enough guts to deliver the truth like that, like in that way. I had another guy where I had to like let him down and say, like, like I'm actually interested in someone else, and I want to like pursue this relationship, and it means like for me to have integrity, I have to like honor that, and that means I can't give you more of my energy or time. And I wrote him a nice message, but I was very clear and honest about what it was. And before, the old me would have been like, oh, let me just come up with an excuse, like,
Right.
like whatever, like I'll just make it easy. And I was like, no, let me just say it how it is. And he was so like, wow. He's like, that is so refreshing to hear. And he was so kind about it, and just, he's like, thanks so much for letting me know. I appreciate that. He goes, it's hard to hear, but I totally appreciate it. And it's just being able to find ways to communicate the truth, even if it's hard to deliver, because it's not the nicest thing to receive, but it's so much better than like the excuse, or like, someone, they're taking the easy way out, or they're just giving some cop out excuse that you've heard over and over and over again. And it's been interesting to me to see that you get a lot more respect. And you still, like, for me personally, I'm like, okay, I'm still holding my integrity, which is such a great feeling.
Right. Now, what's interesting is everything you just said, which is amazing. But it is also you stepping into that self-worth, which is the 3s and the 5s. I'm sorry, the 3s and the 4s in your chart. And a lot of that is when you step into that self-worth, that is where our abundance is. That is where we attract the things that we want. And so somebody told me one time, and I can't remember who it was, but it was one of those where the universe, like, let's talk about dating specifically, okay? You just let down a guy who just couldn't offer you what you wanted, right? And it's about what you just did there. You stepped into your worth and you're like, you know what, universe? That's not enough for me. I won't accept this. I need something better. And then the thing after that was, well, then the next thing that comes in might also be at that same level. And it's up to you to recognize and go, no, I do not accept that. And then so the universe can come in and be like, you're right, girlfriend, you are so worth this and you're only accepting this. And that's what we're going to bring you. But a lot of that too. So part of that self-worth, and it's funny because if you ask me consciously, what's your self-worth? I'd always be like a 10. I'm worthy of everything. But then when you do, you start doing that inner healing and you're like, oh, I see where in these situations, I don't step into that self-love. And it changes the way you view things. And then you're like, this is how I can do that better. And so you were like, yeah, I need more. And so I applaud you because I may be the one who just will give the excuse just to get out of it. But I am getting more Nicole in me. I'm getting it. I'm getting it. It's coming. It's hard. It could be hard sometimes.
No, it is. But like delivering that truth, like I've had some of my clients say that that's one of the reasons why they like working with me is because I'll tell them what they need to hear, but I'll do it with compassion. I'm not there to like make someone cry,
Right.
like that's not what I want. But how do you deliver the truth so that it lands? Because some of us do need that jarring, like, oh wow, I really needed to hear that. I needed that little shake up, and that's so important. And it can be like, yeah, when you're in that place where I don't want to upset anyone, but that like also comes from a place of I just want people to like me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so interesting, those threes, right? Because like I just want to take it back even to when you were talking about that sacral, right? And all of the inner child. Because for me, the threes are just like so strongly associated with the sacral chakra. There's so many similar themes, emotional center, the sexual energy that they both have. And, then you were talking about that intuition, right? Like it is, the three, the symbol of the three, it's like this inner canal. And I kind of think of it as like your own internal Akashic records, all of that. There's just so much to connect in with there. And so it's interesting how, again, as we continued in this conversation with that worthiness aspect, as Yiannah then brought that together, like there's so much that comes in and connects back to that number and to that energy. And Yiannah already talked about how with, that inner child, right? The 7, but it's kind of getting me to think as well, like, maybe there's something to that 3 as well in a connection in which I hadn't really thought about it necessarily before. But it's sort of like, your inner child can hide away in the canal until you build that relationship up before you kind of do that inner work to dig out, to create the space for that inner child to kind of come up and to feel held and feel supported. And then also with the 5s as well. And I think for me, that comes through because of the association with Aries and, Aries kind of being the child of the zodiac. And maybe it's just because of, for me as an Aries sun, and my own relationship with my Aries energy, I really associate my inner child with Aries energy in particular. Like it's like that relationship, like, oh, I need to heal my inner child, need to like heal my relationship with my Aries energy. But yeah, once again, just these multiple numbers in your chart that would kind of then have these associations. So I just love seeing that.
Yeah, it's like the Fool card in the tarot, right? Like that Aries
Yeah.
energy. It's like the Fool is the inner child, right? Of the tarot deck, of at least the major arcana. And yeah, so it's like I have a lot of Aries energy too. I have my Mars and my Venus are like conjunct in Aries. And believe it or not, like my 10th house is Aries. And so like my
Me
business is
too.
all around like
Hey.
that. Yeah. I have to bring my inner child into my business. I have to like
Yeah.
bring her there. Like, she's important.
Oh, we could go into a whole astrology convo because I also have Venus and Aries in the 10th house. So,
Oh, okay. See, there you go.
yeah. Well, it's interesting because with the numbers, the soul contract numbers, it's actually the 22-4. That's the Fool. And so that's interesting again that you have that number there as well, in your chart.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, for me, I got to be able to be a little silly. I got to be able to like be, it can't be all straight laced. That's just not who I am, like sure, I can be professional and all of that, but if I'm going to be truly who I am, yeah, you're going to get a little bit of just a playful spirit who wants to just be a big kid at heart at times. And that's like important for me to bring through in my work. And, you see it like when you're on my calls or even on my podcast sometimes, like that part comes out and just wants to be silly.
So do you feel like an adult? No, do you feel like a kid doing adult things?
Yeah.
That's how I feel all the time. And I'm
You know,
like,
like it's so funny because I'm talking to this guy right now and we're actually it's going very well. And we're both just total children with each other, where it's like, okay, we're having like these very deep adult conversations and all of a sudden they just transition into like total childlike stupidity. Like the stuff that comes out of our mouths and like, but it's like I love that. I think that's because of who my
yeah.
dad is, too. Like I had a very playful father who's just a big kid at heart. And so and I always love that. But it's yeah, like I mean, the child within us is always alive.
Yeah.
And if it's not alive, it's where you've lost your passion, it's where you've lost your excitement, your will to explore, the desire to like want to learn new things. Like that's all part of that little childlike spirit within each and every one of us.
Oh yeah. Listen, and then also having a little child. My little
Mm-hmm.
girl just turned 3, and she wants to do things like go outside and play in the rain. Now, in my childhood, and my I had a beautiful childhood, but I wasn't allowed to go play out in the rain. I wasn't allowed to ride my bike to the end of the stop sign. Like that was just not a thing you did. It was a very strict Greek household. And so when my daughter says, Mama, I want to go play at the park, and it's clearly raining outside, my initial instinct is to go, no, we don't go play outside. It's raining. And I remember catching myself and going, well, why can't we? Right. So that my inner child through my child comes out and goes, we're going to go play in the rain. Get your raincoat. Let's go. And we just had like, okay, it wasn't like downpour, right? But it was raining. And we
Yeah.
just had like the best time. And I thought to myself, I was about to say no to this moment for absolutely no real legitimate reason. And so I got to, her dad said to me the other day, you live vicariously through her. And I remember my reaction was, I don't know that I'm conscious of that, but as I'm sharing this story right now, I realize that by playing in the rain with her, I am vicariously living my inner child through her. Right. So it was a beautiful moment, but she constantly brings me back to that. And actually, I'm going to share this with you, Nicole. I can't believe I'm going to share this picture. Um, Doing your inner child course, because you're like, picture your inner child. Well, I needed like some kind of visual. I found this picture. You guys can see that. I found this picture, which I've looked over a million times in my life. And I've just, you go through it. And when I was trying to get very specific about connecting with her, it was this picture that the second I saw it, I was like, oh my God, that's her. And she like spoke to me. So now I keep her next to me all the time because it's such a beautiful reminder. And every time I have an accomplishment or I do something, I thank her and me, and we celebrate together. And I know that may sound crazy, but it makes complete sense to me in my mind. But it's such a big thing to connect and to be playful that way. It changes everything.
No, I mean, also like when you acknowledge yourself, because that's ultimately what you're doing,
Yeah.
right? But it's like you're finally giving that validation and that approval and all of that to yourself. So you don't need to seek it outwardly. That'll just strengthen your self-esteem even more.
I love it.
And then you just can not care what everyone else thinks.
Now,
I'm getting there.
Nicole, have you, for this guy that you're talking to, have you like looked up his chart?
I don't know his full name.
Okay. But
Do you want me?
I
Do you
know,
want me to? Do you want me to text him right now? So like when we go off the air.
well, I
Yes.
mean, well, I was just gonna say, I was like, you and Yana should do a relationship reading for him.
Yeah.
But
I-
that I have a guess of maybe a number that he might have. Like, I feel like he probably would also have physical talent 9-9, because when you have the same talent as someone, it's like this kinship, right? You just get each other. There's this harmonic resonance and or this harmony. And I also feel like that in particular because the fact that he doesn't seem to be intimidated by your nines, I'm like, well, he's got to have nines. And if he had it in the karma in the same position as you would be a clash.
yeah.
Granted, it could be somewhere else in his chart and it just doesn't create any clashes. But I was like, I just have this inkling feeling. I was like, I wonder if he has these 9-9s. And that's where it's like, you so get each other. His dragons are like, I don't care, you got dragons. Let's go for a ride, you know?
Well, it's funny because our ascendants are literally at the exact same spot.
Oh
We
wow.
have like conjunct ascendants.
So you're Cancer rising, right? What
Yeah, I'm a
degree?
Cancer rising. He's
Yeah.
literally at the same degree. It's crazy. And so our charts look very identical, at least in the housing system, right?
Right. Yeah.
Um, but obviously different planets and things like that. But no, he's a Pisces, he's a Cancer Pisces.
Oh wow. I'm a Cancer Aries Pisces. Pisces moon is my chart ruler. I
Oh,
love it.
okay, okay.
But I'm 0 degrees Aries, so I feel very strongly connected to that Pisces energy as well. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the Aries it's good because you got a little of the spice, a little bit of like the floaty water, like all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So it's a nice balance.
Not to go too much on the astrology, but my big six is all Cancer, Aries, and Pisces, right? So it's like a Cancer rising with a Cancer Mars, Aries Sun, and Aries Venus, and then Pisces Moon and Mercury. So that big six is just those three signs. I'm just like, I feel them, I connect to them. That's my jam.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I love that. Yeah, I'm a Venus, Mars, Aries, a Mercury, Sun, Taurus, a Cancer ascendant, and then a Sag moon.
I know nothing about what you guys are saying. I know each sign, but I'm like, I couldn't tell you a single thing. I know is it the sun and the moon that go first?
Sun, Moon, Rising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm a sun Aries and a moon Gemini, I think. And then I think my rising's Aquarius. That is literally the extent of my knowledge. I know nothing
Well, I can look you up right now because I got you in my charts here. Hold on a second.
Oh boy.
Let me just
All the
go into
astrology girlies,
let,
though, they're like, you're speaking my language.
let me just look at where is Yana? There she is. And
Oh boy.
she is, oh yeah, you're an ascendant Gemini. You're 8 Gemini ascendant. And then your sun Aries and your moon is Aquarius.
Okay, so I reversed the two.
Switched it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, which one? Your ascendant is your personality? No.
No, your ascendant is like how you're showing up in the world
Got
now,
it.
right? Like how people kind of see you, but your sun is more of your identity, like who you're more identifying with and becoming. And your moon is like your
Also,
inner
for
world.
some
It's your
people,
needs, it's your desires,
yeah.
all of that. Yeah.
And some of the astrologies will say, especially like the shamanic astrology, some of these like newer schools, it's like your rising is what you're meant to grow into. Like this is the school you came to learn for this life, is to like
Hmm.
become your rising sign.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, exactly. So, I'm looking here. Yeah, and your moon is conjunct your midheaven.
What does that mean? I know you
No,
told me this before, I feel like.
no, so like you are meant to use like your intuition and that like nurturing component and just like all of that kind of more mystic feeling, kind of all that stuff for your business, for your
Okay.
career, for your goals, for your achievements.
I
Yeah.
love it. To me, that screams 5 energy all day long. It's
Yeah.
very ethereal. It's very intuitive. It's very sensitive, but it's also sensitive, right? So I'm here for it. And it's Aries. And so in the soul contract work, the 5 frequency is the Aries energy.
Okay.
So I'm here for it all. I'm here for it all.
Well, I'm trying to get the full name, but now he's playing hard to get and saying he won't
Woo!
tell me till our date on Wednesday.
Well, listen, once you have it, you let me know and we will look it up, girlfriend.
Oh my,
And
karma.
no, but I wonder, so Lauren, you were like, maybe he's got these energies. I guess for me, like what I think in my mind, because you guys are joking together a lot, is maybe that 19 energy. So that
Yeah.
19, like for you, Nicole, it's not a major frequency, but it's that K letter. Okay.
Mhm.
So it's that 19. And the 19s, they love to laugh, but they're also really good at holding space for people, which, hello, that is who you are. So I
Mm.
wonder if you both have a little bit of 19. Does he have a K in his name? Or you don't know
Uh,
yet? We don't know.
yeah, I
We're
don't
gonna
know
find
yet.
out. It doesn't matter. We're
Yeah.
gonna find out.
Yeah. But actually, just you describing that sounds like him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very
Yeah.
exciting.
No, very much so.
Well,
So,
something to look forward to.
mhm.
Okay, Nicole, listen, it's been absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming and joining us. We'll have to do it again, obviously. Why don't you let our listeners know where they can find you?
Well, you can find me at my website, NicoleFrolick.com, or on all social media. It's just at Nicole Frolick. I guess if anyone's interested in coming to the retreat and wanting the transformation of their absolute lifetime and get that dragon 9 energy all up in them, then, I have that in Colorado, up in the mountains, September 18th through the 21st. And if you need something a little lighter than that, then I want to actually say that you guys, I'll give you the link, Yiannah. But if anyone wants to try their my healing game changer, basically I get you to fill out this form and I'll tell you exactly what's going to get you on your healing path, the big transformation that you need right now, that you can implement like today. So I'll leave a link. So if anyone's interested in knowing like what's going to get me that big breakthrough now, and so you don't have to go trying endless healing modalities, like this is
Right.
what's going to do it for you.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Love it.
Love that. We all need that, right?
Yes.
Well, everybody, head over to Instagram, be part of the conversation. Let us know what you thought of this episode. Let's Talk Vibes podcast, or just leave us a comment, even here on YouTube, if that's where you're watching. Thank you so much. And head over, of course, to our website, Let's Talk Vibes podcast. The LTV podcast, what am I saying? If you'd like a reading with Yiannah or myself.
And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment on our content. It is the best way to support us, and we greatly appreciate it. Have a beautiful, blessed day, everybody. Bye.
Bye.